Cranberry, sage, and puffed wild rice cookies is what we're going to start off with here tonight. Jennifer, Dick, there's an amazing story behind this, for starters.
Yes, so grateful that the students at mâmawi Cafe have shared this recipe with us today. It is part of their school program that they get to work at the cafe, and they're famous for this cookie that has fresh sage and chocolate chips. But for us today, they wanted to sort of amp it up and change out those flavoring components a bit. They kept the sage, but they added in puffed wild rice.
Okay. It's going to be an amazing texture, I imagine. Can't wait to, I'm already just saying, I'm going to try one of these in a minute. But how do we kind of get started with this? I'm guessing that we need to get going on that rice.
Yes, so to start the rice, you're going to you need a pan that has a tight fitting lid. So it's similar to popping popcorn. So you're going to have your pan, you get your heat on. Today we're using our Canadian canola oil. We need about 2 teaspoons in here today for this recipe.
All right.
You're going to take your dry wild rice.
So it's not
In it goes.
so much like it pops, but it kind of puffs up.
It kind of puffs up, so you can actually already smell it, right? The heat with the rice.
Oh,
so
yeah.
kind of give it a swirl around. You want it to get a little bit coated with the oil that you have in there.
Mm-hmm.
If you happen to need a little bit more, which I think we do today, you'd add a little bit more in there.
And so just kind of like
get it going
spin it around a bit.
But before it starts to get too hot, you do want to make sure your lid is on.
Because things are going to start happening.
Things will start happening. It's going to kind of puff up, so it changes the texture from like the dry, hard wild rice. I guess it's actually a grain because it's a seed. It's really a grass seed, is what the wild rice is.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it puffs it enough that it makes it to a texture that you can easily chew and enjoy in the cookies. It adds this really great texture.
Hey.
So this would take you about 2 to 3 minutes to really see the action happening. Okay. Don't burn it. Make sure you buy a fresh package. That's when this is going to work the best.
Okay.
Once it has puffed, you're going to take your pan off of its heat.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to remove the lid and pour it onto a paper towel lined plate.
Just to kind of let it.
And set it aside.
Okay.
The lovely part is that it actually gives you more than you need for the cookies, and the extra is a great snack on your salads. It's just so yummy.
Okay.
Okay.
So
ready for cookies?
Absolutely.
Okay. So to our main bowl here, we are going to add in our canola oil.
Got to have that.
So the nice thing is that here in Canada, all of our canola oil is Canadian. So you can buy any brand, any size bottle, any store.
You're good.
You're good.
You're covered.
Yes. Okay, so then we are going to add in our white sugar. Oop, little splash.
Got the 2 kinds going.
The 2 kinds going. We're gonna add in our brown sugar. We're gonna give that a stir. You wanna turn this into kind of like a wet sand type mixture.
Okay. I got to tell you, like the curiosity is just, I just want to look at it so bad. Because it's also like the lid's kind of
steamy.
fogged over, but.
Well, you can see it in here. So we'll pull some kernels out there and we can take a peek at
I
those.
want to see it puffing, but that's okay.
Okay, so now that this is at this beautiful white sand kind of texture, that's your oil well mixed in.
That's a great description. Holy smokes.
Right? That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
This is where we need to add in our local eggs.
All right, so Countryside Farms free-run Vita eggs. Super proud to cook up with these all the time here on Great Taste.
So this is where you really want to get mixing. I love this recipe. This is a cookie dough that really lends itself well to putting a little bit of muscle into it. It's fun to get, if you have kids at home or grandkids and you want to get them in the kitchen.
Work off some
this
of that
is really
energy.
fun.
Yeah.
So you're going to mix that in. The eggs kind of fluff it up a little bit. Do you see how it kind of actually added that volume?
Speaking of puffing.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Okay, so then the next step is our dry ingredients. So we have our flour. We're going to add in our baking soda and our baking powder.
Okay, I can totally hear it.
Oh yeah, I can hear it now?
Yeah. And it smells so good.
Does it smell good?
Yeah.
That very nutty texture.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
And then I like to make sure that my baking soda and powder is incorporated well into my flour so you have even distribution in your cookie dough.
Yeah.
So that gets mixed in. This is where, do you want to bring in your muscles for this part?
Well, muscles in quotation marks, but yeah, I can give it a try for sure.
Sure. Okay, so we're going to add our dry ingredients into that mixture there.
And always the dry into the wet. And I know we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Correct, right?
Well, I don't know. I'm not such a stickler in my kitchen. Sometimes, sometimes you put the wrong thing into the bigger bowl and you have to just go with it. But
there's a lot of go with it at my house. Absolutely. Okay.
So that gets mixed in. Once you start to see it coming together, this is where you're going to add in your flavoring components.
Yeah. So what do we have here?
So here today we have fresh garden sage, and this needs to be fresh. So you really do need to either buy some fresh stuff if you have it growing. The students chose this as a nod to the cultural prairie wild sage that would be part of their culture, and so that's in there. It adds a bit of almost like a minty kind of flavor into the cookies. It makes them a little savory.
Smells like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so then they were also learning about drying local prairie fruits. So today we have commercial cranberries, which can still be Canadian, but if you had access to dried Saskatoons, I think those would be like an excellent substitution, wouldn't they?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
For sure. Anything.
And then this is the wild rice. So let's see. You can kind of see how the texture changed just a little bit in it. Do you want to taste one?
I do. Whoa.
Isn't that fun?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that's delicious.
It's just sort of unexpected, but yet delicious.
So good.
And then this is really it. Like, it's so simple to bring it all together.
I feel like quitting right now.
Well, you're so close.
I'm so close.
Because really the last step, and this is one of my key tools that I must have in my kitchen, is self-releasing scoops in various sizes. And this is really where, as a home baker, this makes your cookies even. And it really does matter with cookies. You need them to be
uniform.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just going to make sure that this is...
Yeah, it's going, isn't it?
Yeah, you want them to be uniform because when they go in the oven, if they're different sizes, then they're going to cook at different times. And you don't want that to happen. You want them to cook off quite evenly.
Okay, so does this pass?
I think that passes.
Okay, all right.
Here, let me take your spoon.
Thank you.
Okay, so then when you have the self-releasing scoop, you're going to want to make sure you dig in there. I like to level mine kind of flat. Make sure that scoop is nice and packed on the edge. Parchment lined pan. You're going to scoop them in like this.
Like they look so beautiful already. Just the brown of the puffed rice, and then you've got the cranberries in there. Okay.
The last step is I usually just wet my hands a tiny little bit, and then they just need to be pressed down a little bit.
Give them a little smush. Okay.
Yeah, just like that.
All right, I can't wait to try these. I'll give you the full synopsis when we come back here on Great Taste of Manitoba, and a classic when we return, Ginger Snaps. Stick around here on Great Taste of Manitoba.
We appreciate you, whether you're new to this channel or a long-time viewer. If you'd like to join us in the kitchen regularly and meet farm families across Manitoba, please subscribe. We share new videos every Sunday.